What is up everyone, and welcome to a video that I know a load of you are going to really enjoy because it's probably one of the last videos, if not the last video, on my Mac Pro 2008. Now I hope to do some kind of goodbye video or something about the Mac Pro. I think I'm going to do it, but I'm not 100% sure, so this could be the last video about it. Today we're going to be preparing the Mac Pro 2008 for sale. Now I know I said that I was going to keep it for a couple of weeks because I needed it to burn some DVDs, but I thought that was a very, sort of small reason to be keeping it, and I can really get around that easily by using another system. So I have struck a deal with a buddy of mine, and he's been a viewer for a very long time, I believe, and he's a great guy. I've struck a deal that involves a swap and some cash, but I'm not going to reveal what the swap is at this moment in time. I'm going to wait until it gets here. It is another Mac, and I will not be keeping it probably. I'll just be doing a couple of videos about it, then selling it. But it turns out that it's a great deal for both of us. It works out really well, and he was the first person to ask me about buying my Mac Pro. He in fact asked me a long time before I put the Hackintosh on my main setup. Now I know a load of you have sent me emails and Facebook messages and all sorts of different things trying to buy the Mac Pro 2008 off me, but this guy got there first. So in this video we're going to be preparing it for him. It's Sunday today. You guys will be watching this on Tuesday probably. Tuesday is the day that I will be sending out the Mac Pro to him. So I'm going to get prepared, fresh install, take out my drives, all of the stuff that we have to do to send a system, as well as just generally clean it up, make it as dust free as I can. And we will be utilising my test bench setup in this video in order to set up the Mac Pro, which I think will be good fun. So I'm going to clear a bit of space on my desk. Of course, that is the Hackintosh, and as you can see, if I just pan up a little bit, let me loosen that bit of the tripod. There we go, that is the Hackintosh sitting, powering my 3 Dell U2412Ms. That is my new beast setup. And the Mac Pro has done me very, very well, but it's time to move on, and it's time for someone else to get some good use and fun out of the system. And I'm glad it's going to a good home as well. It's going to a home where it'll be used for good stuff. So I'm going to have a little bit of a tidy up before I start on this system. I'm going to do a few things, and as well put things away that I don't need here, like this hairdryer for instance. And I will then begin preparing the Mac Pro for sale. First thing we'll do is yank out all of my drives so I don't accidentally delete any of my crucial data. So here we have the Mac Pro up on the desk. It is absolutely massive. Gorgeous, gorgeous looking machine. I've also got a couple of other things that we will need right here. I've got my OCZ 60GB SSD. This is the boot drive that I will be putting a fresh install of Yosemite on to sell the machine with. I'll be taking all of my drives out of this system. So I'll be selling it with that SSD. The buyer has a 2TB hard drive to put in for storage and stuff like that. So he's all sorted there. And I have these green things. Now these are anti-static 3.5-inch hard drive storage boxes. You can buy them on Amazon, they're about £2 each. I've got 4 of them, and I will be using them to archive my data. They'll be sitting on my shelf, and all of the data that I don't need to access will be stored in these containers, because I think I'll have about 3 hard drives worth soon. So that is the stuff. What I'm going to do now is pop off the side panel. And this is a G5 side panel, and he is happy with this. I think this is a cool thing that adds character. It is totally, unmistakably a G5 side panel, which is just awesome. So because of that, you do not need to lock the side panel, so that's one thing you've got to be careful of. The lock on the back only locks the drives in place. So first off, what we're going to do is take out the 3 hard drives, if I actually have it unlocked. The last hard drive is a 2TB black drive. This hard drive is a 2TB green drive that I will be using for archiving very, very soon. And this drive is my faithful, pretty old by now, 1TB black. I'm not too sure what I'm going to be doing with this one, but I can't really sell it with the system at the moment because I don't have the resources to back it up. So what I'm going to do is unscrew all of these drives from the drive sleds, and we're going to store them in the green storage boxes. So everyone's seen the Mac Pro by now. All you need to do with this is unscrew with a Phillips screwdriver. Now, I do have a couple of issues with the screws with these because they perish over time, and I know a lot of people have issues with this with the Mac Pro drive sleds, but it's not a problem because all you got to do really is keep the screws, and you can literally just screw them in yourself because they're normally capped or they're held in by the anti-vibration rubber grommets. Now, by the feel of it, all 4 of these screws are absolutely fine for now, but I know I've got a couple of sleds that do have issues. So if I do that, and I will pop the sleds straight back into the system. So that sled is actually really good. It's got no issues at all. And we can now pop this drive. I do need to clean off these drives and whatnot, but we'll just pop it in here for now. Facing this way. And these labels are cool, guys. I'll be actually using these to label the drives, and then I'll be putting them in front of the drives, but for now I'll put them behind the drives so that I can see what the drive is in the box. That's my 1 terabyte drive, so that's got my iTunes library and a load of video editing stuff on it. Video editing overflow when the 2 terabyte became full. So of course, same drill for the green. This drive is crammed full of storage stuff, and it will be repurposed properly to be used as an archival drive. Now, I haven't actually looked into what are the best drives for archiving, and I know there probably is a good drive out there for archival purposes, but I chose to use the green drives because I like Western Digital. They are my drive of choice, and the greens are their cheapest, and they're not performance drives by any means. So I thought they'd do pretty well, and of course they've got generally good reliability. I've chosen to go with 2 terabyte capacities. I've got another 2 terabyte WD greens on the way, by the way, guys. But I chose to go with 2 terabyte because 2 terabyte seems to be the most kind of like large, reliable size in the greens. Or lots of drives really in terms of reviews, and 2 terabyte is a nice chunk. If you lose one drive, then you don't lose everything. If you start archiving on 6 terabyte drives, you could possibly lose everything on one drive, although it should all be backed up, but I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to be doing with my archives. But yeah, these little caddies are actually really, really cool. Well, they're not caddies, they're just boxes, but they're really awesome. That is another drive sled that actually has all 4 of the screws. Actually, no, that one's a little bit pinged out, so I'll need to make sure that I provide a little baggie with these screws in because I don't want them falling out in the system. But yeah, let's keep those safe. Slide that back in. All this will need to be cleaned anyway. And of course the last drive, which has a missing screw, but I do have all of the screws. They are sitting over there. I can actually see them from here, so I'll be able to provide those. Again, most of these screws come out, but it's no big deal. No big deal at all, really. You just do this, and everything is fine. This screw is actually not going anywhere. It's basically the little rubber bit on the screw perishes over time, so that's basically what happens. And putting this one in the box. This is the 2 terabyte black, which is not full, so this will be very handy. I'm gonna have to do a lot of drive swapping, guys. This will be handy for storage in the meantime. But yes, we will see what we're gonna do with the drives. It's gonna be pretty hard to get everything organized. So they're the drives. Oh, I forgot to put this little bit of paper in. Don't want to lose that. That is important, so pop that in there. Okay, so that's my hard drives out of the way. The next thing I've got to do is change up my SSD. I've actually given you guys a bit of a wider angle just so you can see everything that's going on. Now, I believe there's some missing screws from this one also, but it never bothered me because it was holding in the SSD, so I'll probably keep it like that because SSDs don't move at all, so it never bothered me. I do have this in a full-sized hard drive conversion thing, and I got this really, really cheaply from Amazon, I think, and it's been great. And I've got another one in my MDD upstairs. It basically turns the 2.5-inch SATA sized drives into 3.5-inch drives, and you can just slide up like this, if I remember correctly. I want to do this properly. There we go. Slide that up, And there it is. There is the Samsung 830 in there. This has not seen the light of day for quite a while. Okay, so how is the drive screwed in? I believe it just actually, yeah, it just sits in there, guys. I completely forgot about that, so I can just yank it out like so. Now, the reason I cannot include this with the Mac Pro, and I'm gutted that I can't, but I just can't. There is a project coming up where I need this, and you guys are going to be loving it. I'm actually doing it this week, but I can't show you until next week because I can't reveal it on the channel. Just in case the person that watches it, it's a surprise for someone, and just in case the person watching it sees, I don't want to risk it. So I'm going to slide in this OCZ drive, and this will just slide in like that. That is in place nicely. Perfect stuff. I'm not too sure what all this faff is in there with all those bits and bobs, but whatever, we will just put this back. This drive enclosure has been working really, really well. Let's close that up, and it's time to screw it back on. So bringing the original bracket down, little screw on there. Whoops. Get it right. Come on, Tom. Stop rushing. Get into it. Get into the flow. You've still got a whole OS install to get through. Because this Mac Pro is totally going to spaz out when... there we go. When it boots up, because this SSD actually has a Hackintosh install on it at the moment. So there's that. Slides in there. Job done. Awesome stuff. So that is pretty much everything we need to do inside the machine at the moment. So what I'm going to do is... Actually, no, it's not. I need to take out my optical drives. When I say optical drives, guys, I just mean one optical drive. Because, as you know, I added a second optical drive. And that is my really nice LightScribe drive that I'm using for this project. So I'll be leaving the standard Mac Pro optical drive in here, but taking out my drive. So there's that. As you can see, there are two drives in there, so I'm going to unscrew the bottom one. At least, I think it's the bottom one that's the... Which one's the original one? Oh, okay, the bottom one is mine, I think. Yeah, so... And we'll replace the 4 screws back in, because the screws come provided in these little holes here, so I'll make sure I screw those back in where they came from. So if anyone wants to add the second optical drive in this Mac Pro in the future, they can do, because I provided all the screws. So there we have it, all 4 of the screws returned. We can slide out the optical drive, because I'll probably get like a USB to IDE adapter and burn the wedding stuff with my Hackintosh. So that is that enclosure. And if we just get a slightly different angle here, you guys will be able to see me putting it back in. So this is going to be a lot easier to put back in. For some reason it was really hard to replace while I had both the IDE cables plugged in. I think it was because of the limited room. But I can now just plug everything in really easily, and the whole assembly should just slide in. I have had some difficulties with this thing in the past. But hopefully, there we go, literally straight in, bang, job done. So, if I grab the side panel, the wonderful G5 side panel, which could be up to 13 years old, let's pop it back on there. Lock down the drives just in case. So now we have a very simple single optical drive, single SSD configuration, and it is time to hook it up into my test bench setup and install a fresh copy of OS X Yosemite. So here I am on the good old test setup, guys, and basically I've got a Yosemite pen drive right here. It's a freshly made one, and the only one I had was a Hackintosh one, so I decided to make myself a special fresh Yosemite drive because I've needed one for ages. Let's boot up the machine. 3, 2, 1, go. Here we go. And let's look up at the monitor and see how far we get. So the Mac Pro is very quiet without all those hard drives in it. A massive difference there. Now technically it should boot straight from USB. Now it's got a PC graphics card, so you won't see anything on the display for quite a while, but
I can see the activity on the USB drive because the light is flashing on it, so that is a good start. Or at least it was flashing, yeah, it still is, so that's good. And of course, I've got the trusty wireless keyboard and mouse hooked up here. Whether it'll work or not is another thing, so we will soon see. And there we have it. Okay, so we're booting up into what looks like the... Wait a second, no way, this is booted into my... Okay, we don't have keyboard and mouse. The keyboard and mouse is refusing to sync up. It's actually booted up into my Hackintosh install, believe it or not, guys. I was not expecting it to boot up into that. I really wasn't. Really wasn't expecting a Hackintosh install to work on a real Mac, but I just find that really pretty cool, actually. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be using this. Yeah, it's exactly how it was when I was faffing around with my Hackintosh. That's absolutely amazing. I've had to ditch the wireless keyboard and mouse for some reason. It's not working properly. I knew that was going to be unreliable, guys. I just thought it may work, but whatever. Okay, so I'm going to dig out the Puck mouse, plug that in, and what I'm going to do is restart, but I'm going to restart after going to System Preferences and going to Startup Disk, wherever that is these days. There it is. And if I select the USB and restart, it should boot into the installer, and that won't give us any problems at all with not having a boot screen or whatever, because it'll be nice and it'll just boot up into it on its own. So I will resume filming when we get some progress. So there's the bong. We should be booting up into the USB any minute now. And this time we're booting into the installer by the looks of it. Excellent stuff. So that is good news. That is really good news. Excellent, here we are. Okay guys, so we are going to continue, agree, and first off we're going to go to utilities and disk utility, and we're going to go to the OCZ drive. We're going to go arrays, macOS 10 extended journaled, and we're going to call it Macintosh SSD. Just so everyone is clear about what is happening. Arrays. Bye-bye to my test Hackintosh install that I was using for all sorts of different things with my RAID 0 and whatnot. We will close disk utility, Macintosh SSD, continue, and OS 10 is now installing. So we're installing from a relatively fast USB 2.0 pen drive on a USB 2.0 port onto an SSD. So we should be here for a sort of medium amount of time when it comes to what we expect from OS installs these days. I'm thinking maybe 15 minutes, something like that. So I will get back to you guys when something actually happens, but hopefully this will run smoothly. Now, I'm not going to enter any kind of information or do anything. I'll be shutting the computer down after the installer, so that when the buyer receives the machine, it's fresh and ready for them to set it up. So after that, all we've got to do is clean out the inside of the system, get a bit of the dust off, clean around the outside. I'm going to see if I can find some slot covers for the back, because there are some, well, 4 gaping holes in the back because of various PCI cards that I've taken out in the past. But other than that, we are now on the home stretch, I would say. So thankfully this Yosemite installer is working, everything is going well. Well guys, I went downstairs to make myself some sandwiches, and I come back up and the display is blank, and I've tried wiggling the mouse, so I think it's actually restarted. And the pen drive is not flashing, so I think it's booting up into the new install. We will soon find out. There we have it guys, perfect. That is absolutely perfect.
Includes a built-in screen reader called VoiceOver.
VoiceOver. Excellent.
VoiceOver Quick Start. VoiceOver speech descriptions of items on this.
Fantastic. So that's how I'm leaving the system, because basically what happens is if you turn the system off while it's in this kind of state and you unplug the pen drive, when the next person boots it up, that's exactly how it'll boot up. So that leaves it fresh and open for them to install exactly whatever they want. That's how I would pretty much sell any Mac, unless I needed to put some kind of specific software or change some specific settings on it for whatever reason. That is pretty much what I'd do, because it allows the user, it's basically like a brand new Mac experience then, isn't it?
But yeah, that's that, and that was probably me shutting down my Mac Pro for the last time, guys. So, wow, pretty crazy stuff. But basically now I'm going to eat some lunch, and I will come back later. It'll be straight away for you guys, but I'll come back later for me, and we'll clean up the system a little bit and see how far we can get with it. So the inside of my Mac Pro is not actually that bad, as you guys can see. It's pretty decent. There's a bit of surface dust on the bottom, but I've seen systems in a lot worse condition. It's amazing how much newer and stuff it looks when it hasn't got that layer of surface dust on it. So it would be really nice. As a buyer, it's nice to receive a system that looks nice and shiny, you know? Makes all the difference. Now the riser cards always get incredibly dusty. Like, really, really dusty, as you guys can see. So, it's literally just a case of blowing like that, and it gets the first layer off, and then ideally you want to do this kind of thing outside and nowhere near the machine itself. Ah, yes. A nice paintbrush is really good. Apologies that I have been blocking the frame, guys, but if you see dust like this, you can just get it off all in between the solder points, and it's just really nice and dust free. So of course I'll have to give my room a good dusting after this, but my room is incredibly dusty anyway. Loads of dust is going back into the machine, but we'll give it one last go over. So as you can see, there is a total massive difference in that riser card. Paintbrush is great for this kind of thing, guys. Don't underestimate the paintbrush. And of course the underside is nowhere near as bad. Mac Pro RAM looks beastly. The underside is nowhere near as bad because obviously it's been hanging upside down. So if we slot this riser card back in and just give it a good shove, that's now in. Let's pull out the second one. And as you can see, guys, just looking totally bad. There's that initial dust flying absolutely everywhere kind of thing that happens. And then the paintbrush comes in. And then the sneezing comes in. So there's the second riser card. Before I put that back in, I think it's important to give a little wipe under there, because that is very dusty. So let's get this riser card. Difference between the Mac Pro 1.1 and the Mac Pro 2008 is these riser cards. This one actually goes upside down on this Mac. So, wow. This is always a bit stiff. So it's a bit different to how people, you know, perceive them. The 1.1 and the 3.1 are totally different systems, really. Now let's give the drive sleds a little bit of a wipe, because they always get surface dust on them and it makes them look pretty rough. Pretty rough indeed. Lovely, lovely jubbly. That's what you call a nice little clean system, ready for sale. So what I'm going to do is pop the side door back on, I think. Wow, I've got dust everywhere. Well done. Pop the side door back on. And just give this a general little wipe down, because of how grubby it is. This system is in really good condition for its age. There's a few marks on it, and as the cleaning solution dries there, you better see that it leaves the system's in better condition than I thought it was. There are a couple of little dings up here, but nothing major at all, so that looks really nice. I'm going to do the top of the case. So we're just going to do another little cheeky boot up, just to double check that everything is okay. Because you want to make sure when you're cleaning. I am always very careful. I've gone over the front and the rear with a paintbrush, and as you guys can see, it's just left a total layer of dust. The only bit that I've got left to do is the feet, which are really bad, and the other side handle, but we're getting there. So of course this machine comes onto the grey screen. There we are, welcome. Absolutely perfect. It's not skipping a beat. Not skipping a beat, and I will miss that dearly. Excellent stuff, guys, excellent stuff. That is that. The Mac Pro is absolutely fine. I'm going to finish cleaning it and then I'll do the outro. There it is, folks. My Mac Pro 2008, all cleaned and looking absolutely wonderful. This system is not only clean and tidy and in very good condition for its age, but it also functions phenomenally. And whoever has this in the future, if the guy that I'm selling it to sells it on or gives it to someone or whatever happens to it, I hope that for years and years to come, this machine will make someone happy in some kind of way. Because this Mac Pro has really done pretty much a load of shaping to my life. I know that sounds strange, and I'm not one of these weirdos that gets oddly attached to things like, you know, electronics and that, but nobody can deny that the Mac Pro has seen me through pretty much every big transition in my life and has documented every single one of them on video for me. It's edited every project, you know. I've done a few bits and bobs on my MacBook Pros, but it's nothing compared to what this has done for me. And it's just been there, you know. And not even that, the amount of internet browsing that I've done on this machine, the amount of conversations that I've had with amazing people on this machine, you know, the amount of, even though any computer could have done that, any computer could have done what this machine has done, but it was specifically this one that did it for me. So everything that I have learnt, you know, while owning this Mac Pro and stuff, everything that I've learnt on the internet and everything that I've learnt through YouTube and through my friends online and all that kind of thing, it's all down to this machine. This machine was there chugging through every single thing that I did. Another couple of points of interest that I'd like to mention, just because I thought it was really cool about this machine. The first thing is, I don't think I have ever had a kernel panic on this Mac Pro. Now, I could be wrong, but I think I would remember something like that. I've had a kernel panic on pretty much every Mac that I use day to day, apart from this guy. And I think that's a really cool achievement. I don't know why, I thought I'd just mention it. I've never had a kernel panic. I've never had any kind of failure. Now, I've had the 2600 XT, but I think that was the dodgy card. The card just really messed up there. I've had, you know, problems with the GT640, but that was my fault for running the NVIDIA drivers instead of the OS 10 default drivers. If you run the OS 10 default drivers, then there's nothing wrong with 600 series cards in the Mac Pro at all. What else? I did think of another point of interest to actually mention. Yes, I've had no hardware failures. I haven't even had a hard drive failure in this thing. It's just chugged away through everything. And before I sort of get into the realms of repeating myself, I think I'll just say as a little closing note then, this machine has been near as damn it perfect. And considering how complicated computers, and especially like a pro, you know, server grade workstation desktop, considering how complicated they are, this has been just beyond stable for me. It's been a very stable from day one, a very fast from day one system, and it's been great for me. And even though I'm running the Hackintosh, if you look over there, the Hackintosh is actually happily running on the 3 displays. I am already facing more problems with the Hackintosh than I ever have faced with the Mac Pro, and that's just after a couple of days of using the Hackintosh, and I've used the Mac Pro for nearly 4.5 years. So, you know, nothing against the Hackintosh, that's how they are, you know, you've got teething problems until you can figure them all out. But the Mac Pro has been a very reliable workhorse for me. So, like I said, before I ramble on any longer, this is likely the last video that you guys will see of the Mac Pro. I'm pretty gutted that I'm selling it. Pretty gutted, and it's gonna be tough sending it out the door. It's going out the door tomorrow. It's just done so much for me, but it's time to move on. I'm just a little bit scared, that's all, that I'm going to be left without a nice powerful desktop Mac if anything goes drastically wrong with the Hackintosh. But I can survive on my Retina MacBook Pro, and at the moment my life is all about survival. As long as I can get by with the things that I have, that's all that matters. So guys, a massive thank you for watching. Again, I know I did one of these videos last week, but please wish the Mac Pro a farewell. Give the video a like if you want to say goodbye to the Mac Pro. It's been a great system. And I hope whoever gets it in the future, whether it just has one owner in the future or whether it has 10 owners in the future, I hope they all enjoy it as much as I have. So huge thank you for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next video.